Morning, everybody. I'm just looking at my hair. It reminds me of when I hadn't washed it for a few days, and when I wash my hair, it kind of I don't know about anybody else, but it gets really kind of quite excited, and I just kind of scrunched it dry, which is very 80s method, this morning, and it's gone like this, and it reminds me of when I went to go to a lot of balls in Edinburgh in my youth, and my friend Clifford used to, when I knew him, he was an ex-international hairdresser and makeup artist. Anyway, he was quite famous in his day of doing Mary Helpin and Jerry Hall and the likes. And anyway, at this ball, he and I were great mates, and he had been commandeered to do all the girls that were coming up from London. Were getting him to do their hair, and so he said, look, I'll do you early, right? He was like this. He used to do his hair in a kilt. Right, hen, I'll get you done early. He started off, Clifford started off in a poodle parlour, okay, in Dalkeith, I think, anyway, in Edinburgh. So he did my hair, and I had rollers in and everything. And I swear to God, some of you won't know who this person is, but many of you will. And he pulled it out, and I don't know, there wasn't a mirror where we were or something like that anyway, but lots of hairspray. Right, let's hairspray the fuck out of it. And it was like out to here, and I looked in the mirror, and I looked like Raine Spencer. Everybody remember her? Raine Spencer, Princess Diana's stepmom. It was out to here. Anyway, went off to do the girls' hair. And so I knew I wouldn't see him until I got to the ball, and I went, there is no way in hell I am going to the ball looking like this. So I kind of re-washed it and blow dried it, and I arrived, and he was sort of fagging it, and he was very tall and a very big statuesque character, and he basically took one look at me. He was standing at the bar, this very grand house. I think it was the Duke of Hamilton, I don't know, it was one of the big, but it was out in East Lothian, and big, you know, stately home. So he was standing at the bar, and he just looked at me in the fag, and he went, I went, what? It looks like fucking ripped out knitting. And off he went. Anyway, calm down. But anyway, this, as I look at the this morning, I'm going, yeah, it does have that slightly ripped out knitting look about it. Anyway, this is not about my hair, people. This is not about my hair. This is about the card. This is about the reading. Card of the week. Card of the week. It's really interesting because I decided to pull one, and I've already pulled it from my house deck. House deck. It's the deck that I use. I never use it. I never use it on my public readings. It's the deck that I keep next to my bed. You know, I'll sometimes just go into the loo with them and just go, I just need to have a pick a card. I'm having a bit of a shit day. What's going on? And so they're my house deck. They're my first deck of cards. I bought them many years ago in London after I met this Australian girl, actually, when I was studying kinesiology. And so they were my first deck, and I picked a card from them this morning while I was picking my cards. I just went, oh, let's just pick a card. Anyway, the card for the week is the Hermit. Okay, so two aspects of the Hermit. The Hermit can be if you're completely frazzled and overwhelmed and everything's being triggered. The Hermit is here to tell you, get in a cave, back in the womb, snuggle in, self-soothe, speak kindly to yourself like you would a 5-year-old, you know, be really gentle, lots of this, lots of hand over the heart. You need to soften and calm down those jagged edges. The other aspect of the Hermit is that if you are feeling fairly stable, then show people the light. So, you know, we live in both a violent and aggressive world, and we live in a beautiful, harmonious and kind world. And if you have got the ability to ground yourself at the moment, then remind people of the beauty in the world. And I have seen a lot of my girlfriends doing that. You know, they're out in the northern hemisphere, you know, sharing pictures of the snow, beautiful sunsets, all that sort of thing. You know, really they are in that energy of showing people the light. Look, it's still there, it's still there. There is light, there is joy, there is beauty around us. If you're not feeling that, it's okay. Tuck in, watch Netflix, stretch your body, you know, warm drinks. If you're in the southern hemisphere, you know, get out into the sun, soak up some sun, be out in nature, which I think a lot of us all are in the southern hemisphere. And just, just really shore up some radical self-love. This morning I came across this really great little quote or little ditty from the spiritual teacher Matt Kahn, who I follow. If you don't follow him, have a look at his stuff. He's some of his early stuff's really fun on YouTube. He isn't quite as he's a little bit more serious now. I mean, he can get a bit, but what I really enjoyed about some of his earlier teachings is he's very funny. He really can take you into, you know, I do often think some spiritual teachers are often comedic, you know, have got that comedic genius as well, where they're able to see people and all their flaws and kind of go, you know. Anyway, yeah, if you haven't checked him out, have a look at him. Anyway, he came up with this quote this morning and I quite liked it. And he says, when we are able to feel instead of blame and breathe instead of argue, we are stepping into the forefront of our highest angelic potential as evolving spiritual masters. When we're able to feel instead of blame, when we're able to feel the pain or the disappointment or the grief or the, you know, when somebody's misunderstood you, when you're able to feel what that feels like and go, God, I hate that feeling. Instead of going, you always do this to me, you're this. It's instead of that, just going, I hate it when I feel misunderstood by people. That was a reoccurring pattern for me in my earlier years. And now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to lower my expectations. Jeez. Hang on a second. I've just got a sticky stick. It's because it's stuck on my computer. Hang on a second. Oh, no, it's not going to stick now. Hang on. There we go. All right. I'm going to lower my expectations. Oh, it's all going off now. It's all going off. I'm going to lower my expectations of that person and know that they haven't got the capacity to understand me or open their mind to the possibility that I could be different than them. So I'm just going to slightly withdraw my energy from, you know, that space. Because if I continually go back there, I'm going to be continually disappointed. And I just don't want to feel like that anymore. So in that case, that's a boundary adjustment. And often when you allow yourself to feel, you start to get clear about what nourishes you and what doesn't nourish you. And that is what healing is about. That is actually the healing, is you having that awareness. Oh my God, yeah, don't feel great around that person. need to spend less time with them, don't feel great in this environment, maybe need to change jobs, don't feel great, you know, doing this activity, maybe I need to do something else. And breathe instead of argue. I mean, it's the same thing. It's the just taking a moment and going, yeah, how am I going to respond here? How is my best self going to show up? Because it's so often, it's a trauma response when we get into that defensiveness and we start going, how can we just stop and take a breath and go, you know what? I'm actually just going to walk away and say nothing. Or I'm going to take a breath and see if I can respond from a different place and say, I can see you're upset, whatever, and maybe this isn't the best time to discuss it. And I really feel that that is ultimately a spiritual practice. And, you know, it's part of this. It's part of knowing when you need to retreat and shore up self-love and kindness for yourself because you're getting really triggered by life. And when you're actually able to share, you know, your kindness and generosity with humanity. And show people all the joy that you see in your life. And be joyful and positive in you know, who you are. I don't always feel like this. I don't always feel like, hey, you know, there's times I'm in the cave because I'm human. And I think it's really important to just recognize when we need to retreat and when we can expand, contract, expand, contract, expand. Anyway, sending you so much love. I hope this week is good to you, and that you find some beauty in it. And if you if you're out, share beautiful photos. If you're feeling like you want to shine the light, love, tag me. I want to see your photos. And if you're feeling like you need to curl up, that's okay too. Big blankets, heavy weighted blankets. Snuggle, listen to kind, gentle voices, and just be good to yourself, be kind to yourself, because when you're kind to yourself, you're kind to others. Sending you lots of love.